When you're a refugee resettlement counselor, which is what I was, you handle everything for the family. And families always have to get established with Social Security. They have to get, the Cubans, for example, came in, or refugees initially come in as a legal entrant, but then they have to establish themselves as a refugee. And then the United States has some benefits, some initial refugees, a few $100s to help with an apartment, a first apartment, etc. So you have to register them through immigration. You have to get Social Security. You have to get the kids registered in school. You have to get the family an apartment. I mean, just think of, beginning from zero, right? And at that same time that the Cubans came in, we also had Lech Walesa was running the Solidarity movement in Poland. So I also had a lot of Poles on my caseload. And I'll never forget, I had a Cuban doctor, actually, I'm sorry, a dentist, a Cuban dentist that spoke Spanish, French, and Russian, had done his medical school in Russia, and he was here with his family, and we went to immigration to get him his refugee status so he could become employed, have a work permit. We filled out the forms and we went, and he was, very black and real African features. And we went, and at that time, here in St. Paul, it was in St. Paul at the time, there was only one gentleman that did refugee reviews, immigration reviews. And so we went in, and the interview was so hostile. Now, these families fled Cuba. He wasn't able to take the diplomas off of his wall or get his transcripts from the university and, planfully transition to the United States. And so everything was suspect. How are we to believe you're a medical doctor? Where did you go to medical school? Well, you have no proof of this. Well, he had fled. And so many questions couldn't be answered. And this dentist was just very respectful and did the interview, but it was very tense and almost accusatory on every point on our story that we had filled out in the application. I interpreted everything. I was tense through it all. And then we were told that it would be reviewed and he would know in so many weeks. Literally the same week, later in the week, I had an interview appointment with a concert pianist from Poland and his family that had fled another communist country seeking asylum here. We filled out the papers, went into the meeting, and I had prepared that gentleman. I said, okay, I just went through this. Just know that these immigration guys are really hardcore. Just answer all the questions you can. There's a lot of blanks in your form because, again, he fled a communist country without preparation. He had no documentation of his employment, of his level of education, of his university skills, etc. So we went through all of that, and I really wanted to prepare him to just stay calm, do the best he could. We went into that interview, same gentleman. The sympathy was unbelievable. Completely different response. Oh, this must have been so terrible for you. How are your children? How is your wife? And so how long did you have to stay in Italy before you could come here? Oh, this is difficult. Verified what he had, understood. Of course he didn't have documentation, didn't ask for it. Well, I know you must not have this. Nope, don't have this. Yeah, okay. Went on and on. Assumed truthfulness with his story. And yet for me, these were two families in equal situations. It was so astounding to me, I didn't even know what to do. I would never have believed it if I had not experienced being the social worker with both families. And the only thing I could attribute it to is one was a white family from Europe, fleeing a communist country in Europe, and one was a Afro-Carib family fleeing communism from Latin America. And so I had to decide what to do. And the dilemma I had is I had more Cubans on my caseload that needed immigration clearance than Poles. And I was going to have to go back to that guy over and over again to get my clients cleared. And St. Paul's a small town. There were only a few of us doing immigration. And so I had to decide, am I going to make waves and call this guy in on what I just experienced? Am I going to try to talk to his supervisor or something and nail this guy? And then how am I going to prove it? There's so many things. I feel like I knew exactly what had happened, but he could give any kind of story, and then for sure my dentist is probably going to get rejected the minute I do this. So I said nothing. I still feel bad about it. It still makes me emotional. Because you know what? That's institutional racism. And that was me. Because I was participating now. And I didn't know what else to do. And both families did get their permits, by the way. But it told me something about our systems. And right then, I decided that I was a cog in a wheel. Like, it completely flipped the view of my job. Up until then, I loved my job. And all of a sudden, I just thought, I just keep this thing moving. And I've got to connect with all these other cogs or I can't do the job. But there's like a bigger issue here. And it's about systems, and it's about fairness and justice and addressing bigger issues. And I wanted to be part of that, and I wanted to figure out how to do that. All I knew is I had no power as a cog in a wheel. And again, because of, I didn't know a lot of professionals at that point in my life, I decided I wanted to be a lawyer because I was going to work on class action issues. I was going to work on bigger justice issues and challenge systems in a way that you could win, that you could successfully bring challenges and all that. And it came from that experience. And I actually had many more. I didn't quit immediately, but I had many more experiences like that that I could tell you about. But my eyes were opened to the issues of race that exist right now and exist in countless, endless ways.